Well, being able to get his 300th win against Cleveland had to be an amazing feeling for Bill. I remember in 2000, we're 2-8, Cleveland's 2-8. It's the first time we go back to Cleveland, the Doug Peterson-led Browns, and they end up beating us 19-11. And they were 9 for 18 on third down. We had 4 turnovers. It was just bad and ugly. In the fourth quarter, the stadium's chanting, Belichick sucks. But it didn't start like 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It was the whole fourth quarter, and it was just relentless. So for him to fast forward, and now the Browns are playing like we played that game, and for him to have achieved what he's achieved, it just had to be incredibly satisfying. And you watch this game, and you watch the Browns, and should they have been more in that game? Yeah. Do they have a chance to win that game? Yeah. Do they have a chance to win every single game? Yes. They have to figure out a way to stop killing themselves. And it's not just the turnovers, it's the penalties. It's taking a false start on 4th and 10 to go to 4th and 15.
So you can then go for it.
To then go for it. And it's getting out of your own way is the first step to actually winning games. And not, I say it all the time, not losing games is more important oftentimes than pushing to win games. And the Browns have to figure that out.
I think we all recognize, I believe, that the Patriots defense is exceptional. That competition notwithstanding, to do this over 2 months.
Sure.
They've given up 4 touchdowns and 4 field goals. That's 8 times the opposition has scored. They've played 8 games. This is where going into this weekend's game, they would have had 3 wins if their offense took knees every single play of the game. The defense cannot be impeached at this point. The question for the Patriots is their offense. And I would love to see a game where their offense, where we have to see what their second pitch is offensively, because every game this year, aside from the Buffalo game, I think Belichick goes into a game saying, see if our defense can get us a big lead, see if the other team will just trip all over itself, and then we can play a very conservative, safe offensive football game, and that's all they've ever had to do this year.
Wait, you think that's unique to this year?
Okay,
see if the other team trips up and beats themselves.
3 Super Bowls.
It's the formula. It's the absolute formula. It's, okay, let's not go make mistakes. Assume that they'll make mistakes. We'll capitalize on their mistakes, and we'll win a game.
Sure. I guess my point is this year there's 2 things. One is that the defense is even better than it has been recently, and the other is there are more questions offensively that if the other team doesn't make those mistakes, can the Patriots explode if they're not turning you over, if they're not getting defensive scores, if they're not getting short fields? But the Browns yesterday, I mean, Chris, people talk about coaching mismatches being chess versus checkers. This was next-level Russian chess against tic-tac-toe. From the very beginning of the game to the challenges to what you're talking about, Belichick and Freddie Kitchens seem to be playing different sports at this point. Belichick's mastered it. Freddie's figuring it out. And you saw that in addition to the players making just ridiculous mistakes on 3 straight plays.
Yeah, it's not all Freddie's fault. The players aren't playing well in Cleveland. They're not taking care of the football. They don't know how to win. And Coach, you are right. Even players coming from successful programs, it doesn't matter. Jameis Winston wasn't used to losing at Florida State. He sure in the hell then figured it out down there in Tampa, and that's what happens. OBJ, he wasn't used to losing like this. No, but you come to pro football, you have to learn how to win pro games. And as an organization, they have lost so much. And they thought that Baker Mayfield was going to be the one to stop it. But him being the turnover machine, you can't win NFL games turning the ball over. And to me, I don't know how, knowing the weather report, I caught an earlier flight back from Minnesota. You know the reason why? Unseasonably high winds, and it's going to be raining sideways for at least 16 straight hours. So I'm going to take the right measures to get home so I can watch the game compared to if I was going to win a game. I would have slapped the coach. Hey, we're going to throw the ball first 3 times. Don't throw to me. Who are you going to throw to in that type? So for me, it's hard to be successful when you can't even get off to a good start. They don't know how to win games. Sometime to me, when you have talented players like this, Freddie Kitchens one time had both wide receivers in the backfield and ran a trap to Chubb. Now, I don't know where he thought that was going to go, but my Little League team could have defended that. There was no distraction. There was nothing pulling guys out of the box. So for me, they call plays just to be calling plays. So I don't think they're going to get this turned around anytime soon, even though their schedule for the last 9 games, it is not as difficult as it was the first 7, Coach.
Well, one of the really hard things, especially when you're a first-year head coach and you've got these dramatic personalities, is you spend the week trying to pacify the personalities. Oh, we got this great play for you. You're going to love it. We're going to do this, and we're going to get him involved early, and we got to make sure that we pacify this player and pacify that player. And you get so caught up in pacifying personalities that you forget about just going out and trying to figure out a way to win the game. And the things that we learn at a very young age about success in sports, it doesn't change in pro football. Work ethic, discipline, consistency, not beating yourself, all those things that you learn as a very young athlete are the same thing in pro football or any pro sport, but it's almost like it gets lost in all of the me mentality that you find.
Well, at what point do we have to look at the coach then? I know we can't blame the coach or blame the players. It's a collective effort. But if you keep saying that at some point you have to call better plays and at some point you have to clean up the mess and you can't pacify all the players throughout the week, is there a conversation to be had that maybe this direction isn't quite working?
Well, it's hard, Jenna. When you're everybody's buddy initially, it's hard to then go and be the hard guy, the authoritarian. And it's much like with raising kids, it's much easier to start hard and pull back than it is to be someone's buddy and then suddenly say, okay, well, that wasn't good enough. And now I've got to take this other much harder line, because the guys take a step back and say, that's not who you are. Mm-hmm. That's not what you said you were. And now you're going to be something totally different. It's tough.
I've learned my lesson on judging coaches after the first year, certainly within the first year. I remember when Ben McAdoo and Doug Peterson were hired the same year, and after 1 year, Ben McAdoo was toast of the town. Doug Peterson was the guy we had to settle on because you couldn't get McAdoo. Doug Peterson has now won a Super Bowl. Ben McAdoo is no longer a head coach. But at this point, if anyone's being honest, it certainly appears Freddie Kitchens is in over his head. It certainly appears that whatever buttons he's trying to push are I mean, the machine's not even plugged in. And so, now, could he turn it around? Sure. Could this just be the really tough beginning to build something? Absolutely. But smart money would be on that Baker Mayfield, by year 5 with the Browns, is going to be on coach 3 with the Browns, if not sooner.
Well, I do think they should give him time. Look, it's not easy being a first-year head coach. It's not easy being a first-year head coach with all those personalities. All the first-year coaches are doing great.
All the ones don't have Aaron Rodgers. Look at their record.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder when you don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback. So I'd say you got to give him some time to figure things out. And the second half of the season, I could easily see the Browns making a big surge where everybody takes a step back and says, oh, okay, they're much better than we thought they were.
I think if you go down the Browns roster, player after player after player, each one of them, if they had sodium pentothal in their veins, they would tell you they could have played better. So it's nice to sit here and bang on Freddie Kitchens. Oh, Freddie Kitchens could call it better. But every frontline player, that includes OBJ, that includes Baker, that includes Myles Garrett, every single one of them could play better. And that's how you get it turned around. But it's just so easy for us to criticize Freddie Kitchens because of his effect on the quarterback. I think Coach brings up the best point. It's hard to be buddy-buddy, and then all of a sudden, now you got to be that tough guy. So for me, if I had to make the call, I would say he's in over his head because of the way the players are playing.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.